Afghanistan, and that war looks like it's over after almost 20 years of that. So I'm really excited. Just want to give a shout out because I've been anti-war for so long and been railing against it, writing, doing podcasts and everything against it. And I know Kayleigh feels the same way. So, I just want to give a shout out to the people of Afghanistan. Fucking did it. You got rid of them. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying like, yeah, I don't know what's going to be, whatever, the Taliban. I'm not a fan. It's not like I'm a fan of them or anything. I'm just saying that at least bombs aren't being dropped on their heads now, So that's the fucking start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone had forgotten about that after COVID came in. Swine flu, COVID, forget about Afghanistan, forget about it, forget that we're still there, let's just distract everybody. And forget that we're spending millions and millions of dollars on weapons when we've got pandemics going on. We don't want you to think about that.
Wait, we're dropping bombs to kill people when there's a quote-unquote pandemic and we're wearing masks? And it's funny because... I hope so.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, all these, they want you to know, everybody. It's probably a good thing. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of me and Kayleigh. That's what I'm going to say.
Hey!
Kayleigh down our sideways, who knows, in Melbourne. She's in the country of Australia, in the city of Melbourne, or in the outskirts anyway. We won't be too specific. What's her address again? No, So anyway, welcome back, Kayleigh. How's it going? It's been about 7 months, I think, since we spoke on air.
I know. I really missed doing these recordings with you, but you've been very busy, haven't you, writing your book?
Yeah. It's been crazy. Go ahead.
You're cool to say that on the thing, right? I mean, I didn't know whether I was.
Please go to shadowworked.com if you want my book. SHAWWORKED. Shadowworked. It's funny, I picked it. I'm like, wow, this is a brilliant name. The domain is available. I was so excited.com. And then now I'm trying to tell it to people. And every time I'm like, shadowworked.com. And they're like, what? And I'm like, man, why they just can't hear worked. It doesn't, I don't know. But it's cool. Whatever. I still love it.
Yeah, well, congratulations. So, I mean, you've been hard working on that. So, we haven't been able to record as much, but we're doing, as we promised, which is part 2 of the military podcast.
Yeah, we're talking about our experiences in the military. If you're unfamiliar and you haven't seen the first episode, that's okay. You could still watch this one. You don't have to go back after and watch it. Watch this one now. But just so you know, I was in the United States Marine Corps active duty for 4 years from the year of 1994 to 1998. And then Kayleigh was in the Royal Air Force. And when was
Don't ask me what date, because I really can't flip and remember.
What year?
Maybe it was like... Oh God, I don't know. I'm really bad with that kind of stuff. I was like,
I just remember
like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I remember because it was like right when I graduated high school, so that date I remember pretty well.
Well, they got you at the perfect time, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it was a combination of the recruiters and my, dad. He's like, you can't live here. You either go to college, you got to do something, which is a good motivator because, I mean, think about how many people are stuck. Anyway, so it motivated me to go do something. And I knew if I went to college, I would just party. So I kind of used the military. And I was always a fan of the Marine Corps. And I wasn't originally going to join the Marine Corps. But once I found out they had aircraft, I was all about it. Because I'm like, well, I could work on aircraft because that was my thing. I want to learn about planes or helicopters, really. And then also see the world. And there was no wars or anything going on in 1994. The world seemed like a pretty peaceful place. There's still some things going on, but it wasn't too bad. Like right now, that's why I tell people, they're like, should I join the Marines? And I'm like, now? I don't know, man. Yeah. 94 was a whole different story. You might want to go.
Yeah, like now you're going to have to actually do the job description, unfortunately. So
you might want to go check out a couple of my podcasts first. We'll talk about what the Vietnam War really was. And then we'll say that Afghanistan and Iraq is pretty much the same thing. Could it be? I don't know. I'm not making claims. Anyway.
Well, we were in Afghanistan when I was doing my training. But the thing is, I actually, feel bad for the people that have signed up right now, because what are they doing at the moment? They're trying to prevent an imaginary virus getting onto the streets and into our towns and cities. I mean, they just sat there at a checkpoint playing a pack of cards in a tent and checking people's paperwork and IDs. I mean, That's what you signed up for. You've done all that training for that. Great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like not even. I got into it, but it doesn't even. It wouldn't even seem if you have eyes to see and your eyes are open. You're probably thinking to yourself, like, I'm not even really doing any good. Like, I don't see anybody dying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. There's
Allegedly,
no deaths. Let's get
could
out the
be.
guns, guys.
Yeah.
No one's dying.
All those old
We
people.
can't have this. Sorry, go on.
Anyway, we're here to talk about our military
Yeah,
experience. No,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just telling people, not you, not you. I'm just bringing the
So
show back
we're
around.
gonna yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, we're gonna talk about the symbology as well, and because last time we were just talking about our experiences, but this time we've created like some slides to show the symbology, what they use as a form of mind control, I would say, and training tactic and a display for the world, for people who know what the symbology means. Do you get me? So
Mm.
that's what we're trying to focus on today as well, aren't we? And you know,
Yeah, I
obviously we're
think
going to add
it's.
a bit of comedy in there and our experiences, but that's if you find us funny. But yeah, sorry, what?
How dare they not find us funny? Oh, but
That is
yeah,
funny
no.
in itself.
But yeah, I was just gonna say actually Kayleigh made the slides, the wonderful slides that we're gonna see here today. And I was gonna say how
Okay.
synchronistic it is that we're talking about this mind control and stuff in the military, because I did speak about this also in my book a little bit. I just talked about one of the tactics, how they get how they train people, and a lot of it's collective punishment. So what they'll do is if one person messes up, they punish everybody. And sometimes what
Mm.
happens, if you've seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, there's one person who, so most times, like for example, I had a really big problem with the rope. I couldn't climb up the rope for some reason. But then once I figured out how to lock my foot, whatever, I got it. But I couldn't figure out it I was the last one. So the drill instructors are picking on me. Everyone's getting screamed at because of me. So, and then once I figured that out, it was good. And then in the other areas, I was good. You know what I'm saying? So most people, they might have one or two things that they lag behind, but other, they can get it. But then there's one or two people, sometimes one person, that everything they lag behind, they don't get anything. And the whole platoon is constantly getting, all these guys behind me, all 70 something people are all getting yelled at because like one guy. And after a
Mm.
while, the recruits start to take things into their own hands. So that's what I talked about. Now, I think we lost Kayleigh, but that's okay. I'll keep talking. The reason what I talked about in hey everybody, we're back. Well, the police kicked in Kayleigh's door and they stole all her stuff she was selling legally. Now we're back. Just kidding, everybody. Technical difficulties, but that's all right because I was going to read a quote and I totally forgot to even mention it to Kayleigh. So we'll read the quote and we'll come back to what we were talking about. We were just catching up anyway, so no big deal. The quote today is from the Tao Te Ching, verse 60. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Center your country in the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that it isn't there, but you'll be able to step out of its way. Give evil nothing to oppose, and it'll disappear by itself. And that's verse 60 of the Tao Te Ching. Kayleigh, what's up? He can hear you again. What do you think of that quote?
Uh, I think it's very deep, and I didn't understand some of it, but I understood the rest of it. If I'm honest, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, oh, I think I got a bit lost.
No, it's okay. I probably should have sent it to you like this way I could have read it and went over if I was actually going to ask you about it. But I'll just say that I like that how it says governing a large country is like frying a small fish.
That's the bit that I liked and that I understood. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the whole part about when it says to center your country in the Tao really just means the way, like the way things should be, whatever. Just kind of let it be, or not let it be. But so it means not meddling in things. If you just let things go the way that they're supposed to, and just kind of be there, like as I guess as a referee. And then it says if you give evil nothing to oppose, you could basically just step out of its way. And I've heard it put this way: evil, it's represented well in zombie movies, right? Because zombies will eat you and kill you, but they're very slow. Most zombie movies are very slow and they're stupid, you know, and so you can get away from them and handle one-on-one pretty easily. But if you're not careful and you're not paying attention and you get surrounded, then you're all done. So it's the same thing with, you could say, the government or any of these control systems. Same thing with the military. Like, I signed up, I even put this in the book, I signed up and went to them. So even though we're talking about our experiences and stuff, I'm not sitting here trying to demonize them. They are what they are, and we'll talk about that. They might not like represent themselves exactly who they are, but whose fault is that? But anyway, getting back to that quote, that's why I like it, because it's like, you know, if you're conscious and aware of things and you could just take care of yourself, you don't have to worry about the government and freak out.
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't be drawn. Sorry, the cat did something really weird behind me. No, I hear what you said.
Oh, I get that totally. The cat's doing something real weird in front of me right now. So.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck's that? But yeah, basically, we weren't great spiritually, so we decided to make the choice to join, and it's not the military's fault that we made that choice. They were just there for the choice that we made.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and before we were disconnected, I was talking about how the military has a tactic, right, where they will pick on the weakest link, basically. And in Full Metal Jacket, I even talk about this in my book, where the one guy, he's like overweight, and then at one point they find a jelly donut in his little foot locker. The drill instructor, you know, the drill sergeant mean guy, finds it and he freaks out, but he gives it to him and he lets him eat it in front of everyone else, but he makes everyone else do push-ups. And it was right when they're about to go to bed. So at the end of a long day, and let me tell you, it's like, I don't know, you get up at like 4 a.m, the sun's not even up, and you go to bed, I don't know, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. So you're just ready for some sleep, and then now you got to do push-ups. So it really makes everybody hate that guy, and then they'll put pressure on him. And at first it works out well because people try to help them, right? And that's illustrated well in the movie, and I've seen this firsthand. But then after a while, it's just like they just want to beat his ass. So and this is the thing, though, that I even say in my book. Again, I keep saying that, which is so nice to say. I say this in my, hang on, where are they? Damn it, I had some. You're gonna love this. So yeah, in my book, I basically just talk about, though, how it's not that we should demonize him, because that tactic is really effective at what it's supposed to do, which is train people for combat. So if you go to the Marine Corps and they don't train you to be in a combat situation to the best of their ability, then they're being negligent, and now you're going to be a hazard to somebody. So you're taking the offer, you're joining the military, you put up with that training, you do it. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to do it, and boom, boom, boom. So I'm just taking that victim narrative away and bringing us back to where we were. But it was a little different for you, though, because and this is the thing, it's not like any of us are better. It's just that I saw what it was, and I knew what it was. I knew it was like a mind game, but I wanted the military. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to be part of the Marine Corps. So I just put up with it and I played the game. And I saw several people like snap or whatever and have to leave or actually buy in and get like brainwashed. And to some degree, I definitely could say I was what you call brainwashed about certain things. It's not like I was impervious to everything. It's impossible. But you had a quite different experience, though. So my thing was, I tried to do the best that I could, but hide kind of in the middle, because I didn't want to be at the top, because I realized the people at the top got picked on just as hard as the people at the bottom. But anyway, you were just like, why don't you tell the story a little bit? We'll give a recap, and then we'll go into the slides.
Well, I just, I didn't complete the whole training as you did, and you were in it for how many years?
I did
7 years of it.
4 years active duty, and then 8 years total, which is just, I had to let them know where I lived for 4 years after, which actually I almost had to go back in because of 9/11, but I was able, I did my time. It was like a month after.
Yeah, they did. So. They did that to us as well. They had a stipulation in the contract where, you served your full term, maybe it's 11 years plus 3. And the plus 3 was that even if you left, you still, you got to come back to us if something kicks off, That was how, that's Yeah, they did that to us. But no, I basically, I just did the training, and I just did the phase 1. There was 2 phases. I just 2 weeks before training, I watched Mark Passio, and I just couldn't get trained right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would have worked on me a bit better if I didn't know what I knew.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And you went in at a much
so
different time. I was in, and it was, and I just wanted to highlight that just to contrast our differences. So you were way more awake to this stuff, and you were just like, I'm not having it. Whereas I was like, let's do it. You know what I mean? So that's why I just want
yeah,
to say that's
yeah.
why it's not like you couldn't pass it if you didn't want to or whatever. Like I have another friend, his comedian Pat Oates, who I've done a bunch of stuff with, and he talked about he was in the Navy. And he was like, fuck this. He just pretended to be crazy to get out. It was great, allegedly.
Yeah, you can do that. You can get up with mental health, can't you? Because they don't want you in there if you're at liability with your mental health. So yeah, well, it was different in that way, but also, like you said, I joined in the noughties. You joined when was it? The
94.
1994, mid 90s then. So again, different time,
Yeah, there
even
was
in that
already
respect,
like
really.
the Afghanistan war and all that stuff was already in full swing. So yeah, it was a much different time. But
Well, yeah,
anyway.
I mean, I remember we did like a seminar with this guy who tried to get us, to get insurance. And I don't know if I said this in the last podcast, but he was like, "You should get your insurance because look at me." And he put his hand up, and he had like a hook, like Captain Hook, like for a hand because it had been blown off during his active duty. And I sat there and I was like looking at my friend, and I was like, "Are we actually fucking doing this? Yeah, all right, okay." I'm not bothered. Pretend I'm not bothered. Pretend I'm not bothered. Inside, I'm bothered. That bothers me. That bothers me. Do you know, like.
Yeah, it's crazy. I almost lost the tip of my finger like the last week I was there. It was so crazy. I was just like, because I worked on airplanes, and I like the last month or what, not like the last few months I was there, I was just like doing nothing. It was, I mean, whatever. But anyway, so I was just like helping to move a plane. So I went to, there's these metal things that hook from the tow, the little thing that the cart that tows it to the plane, and I was just like hooking it, and there's these wheels under it, and my finger kind of got caught in there, and I was like, I didn't want to look. I was like, oh no, and I looked, and it was just, I crushed it, which was okay, and then I had like a bubble on my finger that lasted like 6 months, so I had like a memory of the, like it's like, yeah, but I was like, oh god. Yeah, I was like, no. But I mean, I know, yeah, it happens. A guy that I was on a carrier with fell off the carrier and was at sea for like 3 months. And it was like, actually, he made it to that show 2020 that used to be on TV. So it kind of got some popularity. Like people in the military around that time know about it because they talked about it a lot because he used some thing. Yeah, it was crazy. He got picked up by a Pakistani fishing boat. He's lucky it was 1995 because, Anyway, let's get into these beautiful lovely slides provided by the wonderful Kayleigh. Where do we go? Okay, here we go. We'll share the screen. And I'm very excited about her slides. Now, this slide might look a little familiar to some people. She took a Mark Passio slide, which he always tells people to do. He puts them out there and he says, guys, use this stuff. Let's do it. All right, let's talk about this. It says consciousness.
Yeah, so basically, what we were looking at is how the military affects both hemispheres of the brain, because we do have 2 hemispheres, and one's logical and one's, your creativity, isn't it? And we were just talking about, Mark Passio was talking about how the training kind of takes over those hemispheres, so you don't think for yourself. So your analytical skills and your organizational skills and, logic is militarized. Would you agree? It's got to be their logic and sort of stuff like that. And with your, which is a masculine brain on this slide, and then the feminine part, which is the creativity. Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't find I had any creativity when I was training or doing the military, and that just completely got shut down. It's just,
yeah, I think they go for shutting down the whole right side of the brain, So it's really about analytical, logical, precise, repetitive, all this stuff, organized, detailed, scientific, all the stuff that they're saying. It's such a left brain thing that happens to, right? And they
Mm.
basically uh I guess you would say stifle the other side. And if we look at this, so let's look at I'll break down the symbolism of it because I love symbolism. That's what got me into this whole mess. You see on the masculine side, on the left side of the screen, you see the upward pointing red triangle. And that's one of the oldest symbols. There's two of them, right? That's the first one. That's the masculine one. It's the upward pointing. It's the original phallic symbol. It's a pyramid. It's all that stuff. And under it's the sun. So you have the sun, which is the ruler of the day. It provides all the night and the light and the energy that we have. And then over to the right, you have the other symbol, the downward pointing triangle, which is the blue one, the feminine. It represents a cup. It's a shape that can hold things. It can hold water. So it relates to the cup in the tarot, just as the masculine would relate to fire or wands. In the feminine downward pointing triangle, that energy is represented by the moon. It's the light of the night, and it's a cycle, and it's not always the same. Sometimes it's bright, sometimes it's not. Does that remind you of somebody you know that's a female? Exactly. Right. So, but we all have these tendencies inside us, just because it's like as above, so below. So, that's why you see a lot of representation of androgyny in the tarot, where you see people, you don't know if it's a guy or a girl, because people will say that we're split from beings that were androgynous and like an angel, they weren't a guy or a girl. And that could just be allegory. And what it is, it's an allegory of how we can get back together and work together in a healthy way. And that's not what this is, what we're talking about, right, in the military. So what are some ways you think that they stifled your creativity while you're in there, or that you could
Sorry, I
see
just
how they
gotta
were doing
say,
it?
you were on fire then, mate. You're like, you killed that slide. That was great. I was like,
Thank
wow,
you.
didn't expect that. That was great. How did they? Well, see, you don't have any me time. You can't sit and read your book or magazine. Even for just 10 minutes, you can't sit and do some artwork. You can't sit and self-reflect. You can't connect with your family because they're you know miles away, and you're busy and there's no phone signals. That's how it was for us, and they don't let you off base or anything, and so you can't really reconnect with yourself in that way either. But I just felt like I just didn't have time for anything. You kept busy with these silly chores at the night time, especially in the first few weeks. You've got to sew your name in your socks. You've got to iron your shirt to perfection. You've got to do your laundry. You've got to clean the ablutions or the bathrooms, whatever. You've got to make sure your bed space is perfectly packed in like a parcel. Like your bed has to look like a fucking parcel. So,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
And everything you're
yeah.
saying is listed in that left side. So it seems to me that they're repressing the right side of your brain by just giving you all these tasks. So it's not even like they're actively repressing your creativity, because even they would give us an hour a day of square away time, they called it, like after we ate and got everything, we'd get an hour where the drones.
Square away. Isn't that a funny name to use as well? With the base
Yes.
consciousness.
Yeah. And if you think of
Mm.
squares, like the angles of sorrow, the 90-degree angle, so it was time for us we were supposed to like iron and fix it, but we can also hang out and write letters, and we can write letters at night. So I feel the only time where I really had any creativity was when I was writing letters, which was a little bit of that outlet. And I feel like it might be part of it at some level, because they probably, if you're somebody who's hacking into the mind and you're creating a program such as boot camp, you're going to know that you have to give them some kind of creative outlet. And I think letters is the way, because you can't talk on the phone, right? So, or now like FaceTime or email or anything. Maybe you can email, I don't
Mm.
know. But so now they give you that little bit of creativity, that little time where you could let it out a little bit so you don't go totally crazy. Cause like even prisoners, they let them have mail. And I bet that's part of what it is. I bet that's some of it, because it's like you have to
Mm.
have some kind of contact. Anyway, I love that. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Same thing.
Mm. Yeah, and the intuition as well. You're just so tired that your intuition just goes out the window, to be honest, because you just drained. I was just drained anyway. I was so tired. I mean, you said you went to bed at 10. We went to bed at midnight one after doing all these chores.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then,
it might have
like,
been midnight. I don't really know. They didn't tell us
Yeah,
what we're supposed to get 8 hours of sleep, but I don't.
we
And it,
didn't at all.
yeah, so I don't know, but they again we didn't have any clocks, and then I know for sure. Oh no, I think there was a clock, but then again I know for sure. So maybe we did get 8 hours of sleep at night. We're supposed to 8 hours of time where we're supposed to sleep, but I know like there are other parts of training there was like no sleep. You know, like we went into the combat training where it was
Yeah.
just like
Oh
run.
yeah, there was like 3 days where you don't because you're camping at this place and you got to have someone clock watching at night and stuff like that, and you just don't sleep. But I was also looking at the colours on this. I don't know if Passio did this on purpose, but uh, have you ever noticed a lot of colours in the military? In the Air Force was blue, and maybe it's kind of like this. Is just a theory I have. Maybe it's just kind of like we are your right brain. This is the right brain kind of stuff. Maybe because colours speak to you, don't they? We're
Yeah,
your intuition, we're your big picture. It's us, we're your creativity.
and another level could it be we are your mother
Yes, yeah, 100%. The feminine. You're so right. Yeah, could be that.
because the Marine Corps is all about red and gold, so we're your daddy, and the Air Force in the United States is also blue too. So it's like they're going for those. Yeah, wow.
Interesting. Okay.
We just
Yeah, I like
decoded
that.
something else. I like how you picked that up. That's a good one. Look at you picking it up. All right. So let's see what this other slide has to say. Unless you
Well, I
do you have
think
it?
maybe if you go on slide 6, could you just check what that one is? Because I don't think they're in order. I'm not sure. What's slide 6? Number 6? Oh, sorry, the next one. The next one. Yeah, that one.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Just what you were saying actually about colours, because they're in the police force too. And there's a red and blue on the siren, and they call them the boys in blue, don't they? The police, they do in England anyway.
Yep, they
And
do
you've
here
got the red
too.
and blue on the siren, and that speaks to both hemispheres of the brain, if I'm correct. The logic and the creativity. The red and blue when it's flashing, the masculine and the feminine. You're like, oh, that's what the police are like. They are what I need to pay attention to at the moment because that speaks to both hemispheres of the brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're the
The
ultimate
siren
control.
colours.
The ultimate control.
Yeah.
The mom and the dad. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 that's it. Like, we're your mum and your dad, listen to us, do as you're told, that kind of thing. We're the authority. Anyway, sorry, you can go back up to the next slide that we were going to go on. I just noticed that
No,
and I
I
thought,
like that. I want to say one more thing too. If you mix
oh, yeah.
red and blue, you get purple, and purple is this color of royalty. You see it everywhere. The royals always wore purple.
Yes.
Caesar wore purple. You know, it was this big thing back in the day. If you were purple and you weren't noble, you can get put to death for it. So, you know, it's kind of like they're taking these ideas or whatever people took these ideas of aligning properly the feminine, masculine, the red and the blue to get purple, and then they're just using that representation of it as power externally in the world instead of doing it. Because if they did it internally, they probably wouldn't seek this external power. Could it be? But anyway, all right.
Yeah,
So
true. And that's such a good point about the purple as well. I didn't think of that. And it's the colour of mysticism and the occult as well, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, so this again is another one of Passio's slides, and it's the only slide I've ever seen where they have a brain scan of somebody who's been through police or military training, and there's literally a difference there. So yeah, when he's saying a holistically balanced brain showing global EEG coherence, that could be just a normal person or somebody who meditates on a regular basis. And then on the right side, the left hemisphere dominance. So that happens when you're doing military training and police training. Is it's left hemisphere dominance based training, and it's actually changed the formation of the brain. Like, those synapses are all over the place, aren't they? And so I just thought that
Yeah,
would be
that's
quite
crazy.
an interesting thing to put on, because you might just think, oh, it's only physical. It's not only physical, it's mental. It literally rewires your brain, literally changes your brain. It's a bit scary, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a it's a really good point because so many people like to separate the physical from the mental, where it's like the brain is a physical, well, could it be? It's like the brain's a physical instrument in your head, so it's going to be affected. And then when you have this evidence like this, it's really crazy. Yeah, so this just really speaks to spending all that time in that training and in that environment where it's just right brain. And then you could also do this to yourself. You know, you can continue this. And this actually happens to a lot of people just because of trauma in their life. And that's,
It
I think,
does. Yeah.
why they get on this path of either red or blue, could it be? So they either have like, and Mark Passio's talked about this, a lot of people talked about this, how people either will have like a issue when they're raised with their mother or their father. And it doesn't even have to be anything too crazy direct as far as trauma. It doesn't have to be like anything that people would even consider trauma. It could just be you were not picked up enough or something like that, right, when you were a child.
Mm.
And if you don't properly work through that as an adult and figure it out and get through it, it could affect you your whole life. And then the military training is just going to add to that, you know. So say you have an issue and then you go with the masculine, and then they're going to just hyperdrive that. They're going to take that need that you have. Now, this isn't everybody. Some people join it because they know exactly what they're doing, and you know, but this is just what happens to some people, what I'm talking about. So it gets put into overdrive, that need and that, and then they just go way over with that experience. And another thing, it's kind of like a rite of passage, you know. But go ahead, so what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say on that note with the upbringing sort of thing. I think there is a slide on this as well, but I'll just quickly go over it. But you know, primary psychopathy and secondary psychopathy. The secondary psychopathy is caused by life experiences, like when you're a child. If you have a traumatic childhood, it can lead to secondary psychopathy. And in the same way, also, so can the military training, or even just serving in the military, can cause secondary psychopathy if you didn't go in it with primary psychopathy in the first place. Because you have, you know, PTSD, and you can have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And, you know, it does affect the brain, and it can lead to the secondary psychopathy with the right brain dominance and the trauma that you can endure in the training. And also, you know, if you go and serve on a tour and you see people getting blown up, or you get some damage, it's going to traumatize you, right? So you know, even the training can lead to that in a way. Depends how long you're doing it for. I mean, I guess maybe 6 months to a year isn't going to do that much damage, but it's certainly going to lead somewhere, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to make that point about the childhood thing, and even, you know, being in the military can do the same sort of damage as what an abusive childhood can do.
Yeah. And then if you add the two, like you were saying, and I have a lot of experience in that view too, because I feel like I did slip in a little bit of psychopathy because of my behavior with women. You know, like this is something, hang on a second. So this is something I talk about in my book. Where I had severe intimacy issues, and it was expressing itself where some would say like maybe a sex addiction. So I was like going from a woman to a woman. So now when I was in the military, it was different because I was always moving around. So I had more of an excuse for it. But I could see how sometimes, even like after the military, when I feel like I had less of a purpose in my life before I started to figure things out, I would just be more mean to people and like cold, and just use them more. So if somebody like me can slip into that, I could just imagine also what it could do to people, especially when you get a little bit of power. I didn't really have any power in the military. They were pretty smart. Didn't give me any power. Actually, because if they did, it probably would have worked a lot better. I would have been anyway. But all the ideas I had, they're like, no, that's too simple. They like, we got to give you guys more to do. But anyway, yeah. So it really does speak to that, because if you find yourself, especially in the military, it's like you have a purpose, you have a goal, but then when you get out, if you don't have that, you have that training, you have that psychopathy, whatever, but you don't have that purpose and that goal, it can manifest into some purposes and goals that are less desirable. And mine was to try to find women to sleep with. So, you know, it could be
Exactly.
worse.
And like you said, you lacked empathy on some level for, you know, a fellow human being, whether it was sexually or whatever, but you still did lack empathy in some way, right? So other people can lack empathy in other ways, either when they're still in there or when they leave. And that's the thing, you kind of train to not really care much about other people except for your comrades. You know, it's like they're the important people in your life. You give your life for them, they give their life for you. Back everybody else, you know. You leave your civilian stuff in Civvy Street, and you're here with the boys and the girls, you know, mostly with guys. And, you know, you kind of switch off your empathy level for the everyday man and woman, right? So there's even that aspect to it as well. But on that note, you know, the secondary psychopathy is not permanent. It can be healed, it can be reversed, unlike the primary psychopathy, which is, I think you're born with that one, right?
Yeah, well, that's what they say, that you're born with it. But
Yeah.
you know, it's weird because there's also aspects, because I've been studying a lot, like of a lot of astrology and tarot and all this stuff, and just human psychology in general. And there's a lot of different tendencies, and I have some of these that if they're negatively displayed, I could look kind of like a psychopath, you know. And maybe that's where the secondary psychopathy comes in, because I'm able to work on those aspects of myself, and now I can use those in positive light, you know. Like, for example, in an emergency situation, you know, if something goes wrong, I can keep my head, you know. Like when I put my arm through a window, you can still see the scar here. I was wrestling with a friend in the Marines, actually, and I put my arm through a window, and it was a big giant mess, and everyone was freaking out, and I kept my head, and I was able to like give people orders basically and save my own life. But in that situation, it was a positive expression of it, because I was able to shut everything off. I was able to be like, all right, well, I can't just sit here and cry about my arm, you know. It hurts, yeah, it's bleeding, but you know, it could be worse, so let's do this. So in that way, people will be like, wow, you're kind of like a psychopath. Or like if I'm in a situation and somebody next to me dies, but then there's still people next to me that I can help, it's like I can keep moving forward and then mourn their loss later, you know.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's like a bad thing.
Yeah, no, that's the positive expression of that. But the
Yeah.
negative expression is not me, but like if I went down that road and became a full-on blown psychopath, and I could just go kill people, not care about it, kind of thing, you know, be like whatever, and then, you know, later it would manifest in weird things or something, you know. But yeah,
so, that's the thing. Like, you know, I'm not saying that somebody who's been in the military is automatically going to become a murderer or something like that.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm not. You know, I'm not saying it's that severe. I'm not saying it goes that far, but you know, when I say the secondary psychopathy, I don't mean you're going to start wielding a knife once you get out and start killing civilians. But I mean, you certainly come close to it.
Well, there's even worse things you could do, though, because if you just kill people, yeah, that's terrible. But you can also go out and you can like father all these children that then grow up to become terrible people because they had a shitty dad, you know. And then you have like an army of dicks, you know what I'm saying? So like, there's so many ways that this can manifest, and that's why I always focus on healing, and that's why it's great we're talking about this, you know. So yeah, nailing it.
Yeah, that's right. Like you can get over it, you know. You're not damaged for life. Or like if you've got primary psychopathy, there's no curing you. You just, you know,
just talk to me, guys. Call me if you have primary psychopathy. We'll work on it. It's cool. Not that you're lost. It's just you have to get a different outlook. That's all. I just need a purpose. That's really what it is. I think if you find a purpose and you can line your morals to it, you'll be good. Anyway, I don't know. What am I, an expert? I don't know anything. I'm making no claims. Anyway, so what's the next slide that we should talk about here?
I don't know. Let's do you want to do a lucky dip, or do you want to just go in order, or what?
Let's see what we got here. What's the next one? Are there any that should go next? Because we could just click on one. I like the dog tags one.
All right, yeah, we'll discuss that one. I mean, there's not really much more to say on that. The fact that you get awarded a dog tag, does that say anything more about what they're calling you?
You would think it's pretty self-explanatory, but you know, I think that it just goes to show this is what they think about you. They give you dog tags, and then this is like the last remnant. You know, like if you're supposed to put one in your boot if you're going into combat, just in case you get blown up, so they can identify you. It's like, you know, and it's this
Oh yeah,
cheap
I just think
piece of metal. Go ahead.
yeah, it's just more symbology though, isn't it? It's a deeper occult mockery symbology, you know. They're literally calling you a dog because you're a sheepdog doing the bidding for your master because the master doesn't want to get his own leg blown up, so he gets other people to do it. And I'm sorry that it offends some people, but it's true, right? It's true.
Yeah. And to go further on the occult thing, if you look at the devil card in the Rider Waite, which I should probably bring up as we're talking because it would probably be
That'd be a good
irresponsible
idea, yeah.
not to. If you look at that card, you will see that what's going on here? There's two people in chains in front of the devil, right? And they have they have chains around their neck, and it looks like they are kind of, and it's reminding me of this dog tag, right? Because I remember wearing my dog tags and they were loose. You could just slip them on and off if you had to, and they would always yell at you, right? If you didn't have your dog tags on, they're like, "Where are your dog tags?" And so like you need your fucking. It's like basically, where's your leash? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found this picture. Let me bring it up. And okay, so you see how these people have the chains around their neck. But they're loosely set upon there, so they're choosing to do it. So occult wise, or like internally, what this is doing is, if you don't realize, you're putting this chain, because it's a chain, around your neck with a tag that they call dog tag.
So true.
But you're loosely doing it, and they don't do it to you. They let you put it. It's not like a dog, you put a collar on, it can't take it off. They put it on you, and you could easily take it off if you want. It'll slip right off your head if you're not careful, actually. So it's really telling you that, hey, this is your freaking choice to be our dog, man.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's really insightful, especially with the chain thing as well.
I didn't think about that. That's your awesome slide inspired that thought in my head. Yeah. This comes from, just so you guys, I mean, you told me earlier, like, you were killing it. It's because, just so you guys know, on the Tarotbull podcast, TAROTBULL.com, my co-host Ashley and I have covered all 78 cards over the past 2 years of the tarot. And all we do is talk about symbolism. So like I am on fire because I'm doing it. So I would tell people, if you're interested in this stuff, just start a podcast and do it, and you get good at it. You just do it and you do it. Look at Kayleigh. She's great. At first she was all nervous and cute, and now she's all killing it and cute.
Yeah, I used to be nervous, didn't I? I was like sipping like 10 glasses of water, and now I'm like, I look back and I'm like, did I talk way too much? And that wasn't out of nerves, that was out of confidence.
That's right.
But yeah, I used to be scared of doing it at first. Yeah, now it's cool, but it helps to have a great host who, you know, you do make it easy for people to feel relaxed as well. So,
well, thank you. I try. Oh, excuse me. All right. I'm going to bring the slides back. The great host, I let you say that as I yawn. It's perfect. See, I humble myself. What are you seeing on the screen right now? Dog tags? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Do you want to go to slide 5 next? I think we'll skip the one after that. Yes, that one. So as we're on the subject of symbology and things, this is the astral symbology. And it's in everyday life. Like, I'm not just talking about in the military, like on the medals and the police badges. I'm talking about, you know, car badges, everyday fashion, you know, even the MasterCard there, it looks like 2 suns. The DC, obviously, there's a star in there. The Toyota, it looks like solar symbology. Not solar, sorry. Planetary symbology. Yeah, you know, it looks like orbits of planets around the sun, perhaps. And yeah, with the medals from the military and in the police, they've got stars on. The 5-pointed star. And you could go deeper into that, and you could say that it kind of looks like, some people say it looks like Baphomet's head. I don't know if you know what I mean with that, Brandon, with the bottom two are the ears, his chin, and the top two is the horns.
Yeah, Baphomet's
So,
like the goat head of Satan or the devil, they'll say, or a Baphomet statue is just occult representation of certain things as well. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hey, kitty.
We have a cute little kitty saying hi. Hey, this is a new cat. I had Alfie the ginger one. If you've watched other videos, now I've got a new one called Millie. She's so cute. Anyway, we both got 2 cats now. Just can't get enough of them. But yeah, so we've got the Baphomet, but it's not just in the military; it's in everyday life. You've got a lot of astral symbology, and what that does, it speaks to the mind in a way where you can identify with it on a subliminal level, because it's found in nature, or you kind of you see it in the sky. Do you get what I'm saying? So your brain just identifies that with that being something normal, everyday, great, and it attracts you to that brand, or it attracts you to that the car you want to buy, or whatever it is. They use that in advertising a lot, and in the military, I think perhaps there's probably more to it than you being attracted to it, but there's probably an occult symbology there, which may be something you might know about, Brandon. I'm not sure, but
well, I did want to talk about that I think is for sure, because it's like were you gonna say something else? I'm sorry, were you done? I didn't want to.
No, I was done there.
Well, I'll talk about that, but first let me talk about some of the symbolism here that I'm picking up. A lot of it is the oval. Like, there's a lot of ovals here I'm seeing, and ovals are we'll take the MasterCard symbol is perfect. So it's 2 circles, basically. You said 2 suns, very good, come together, and then in that middle you get the oval and the concentric circles, right? Here, let's do this.
Okay, yeah, like Chanel, Coco Chanel's got
so you get 2 circles that come together, and then that oval in the middle, the concentric part, that part is all over. Now, what that represents is if you have kitty, when you have 2 kitties, just kidding, when you have 2, the 1 and the 2 come together, that's where the birthing process comes. That's what this represents, just like the birth canal is the oval, right? So you said it looks like a vagina. Yeah, it's a big. That's the symbolism of it. That's how crazy it is, right? So that's why people are so attracted to it, because a lot of it is that it's what a vagina symbolizes, and then you see that and you're just drawn to it. Now you see it in the DC in the middle. You see it in the Toyota. There's actually 3 of them. There's one for the T.
There's 3 vaginas in Toyota. Sorry, I'm being immature. Go ahead.
Exactly. There's always one. And then in the DC also looks like a chain too, like a chain link. We're just talking about that.
Yeah, you're right about that, yeah. And I should have really put the Coco Chanel on there, because it's the same thing as the DC, isn't it? There's a creative feminine opening in that symbol. That's probably more of a polite way to say what I've said, but
there you go.
Yeah, no, you're so right about that, actually. And I remember somebody saying that a few years ago. Completely forgot about it, but well spotted. Do you know anything about because there's a lot of stars, a lot of astral symbology in the military? I don't know, because I know in in Latin, Astra means star, doesn't it? Which is pretty weird. There's a vaccine called AstraZeneca. I was trying to unpick what that meant. It's definitely star something in that vaccine name. They like to use a lot of astral terminology, a lot of astral symbology. So is there anything you'd like to add about that, or?
Yeah, well, when it comes to stars and the 5-pointed star, and specifically, it represents humans, or also represents the 4 elements with the 5th element on the top. So people, because if you think of the Vitruvian Man, where the guy is standing in the middle of the circle with his arms and his legs spread out, that's just like a star. So that's us. So when people see that, it draws them to it, because you feel like that star, like that Superman, like that Übermensch. That's what they say in German. So when it's upside down like that, and it's supposed to be quote unquote evil, it just means that people that are using that symbolism are putting the 4 elements above spirit. They're saying that this physical realm is more important than the spirit realm. So that's really all that is. So they're saying that it's more like sense pleasures, you know, dominance, stuff like that is more important. So you're submitting to the dominant with that. It's really what it is. And you see the crown, like the Victoria Police one in the bottom right hand corner, the crown at the top. That's just telling you that this is the ultimate law. We're crowning the physical realm right now. You know, the control, the dominance. Yeah. And then of course,
that's really interesting.
And then this is hidden very well. You see the laurel wreath and that Victoria Police around that, and that is more, you'll see that a lot in university, college symbolism, also like ancient Roman symbolism. That represents the control, like of hedges, you know, like being inside a fence kind of thing. So
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about the laurel leaves when I was making the slides, and I was like, I just can't for the life of me remember what the laurel leaves symbolize, and you just hit the nail on the head there. Because you do see it a lot. You see it in the military too, don't you? There's laurel leaves on some of the medals and things like that. Like, this is only one example of the many kind of medals that they give out in the military. And I'm sure there's some laurel leaves. There's definitely a laurel leaf in the RAF badge.
Yeah, there's laurel leaves all over the place. And that's normally what they do. Because if you think about when you put hedges around your property, what's it symbolize? It symbolizes this is all mine in here, you know, so it's like that.
True.
Yep.
Is there a slide about solar symbology just before we go on to any others? Because they're with the Gulf. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, well, here we go.
So this is another thing that they like to use in everyday life, not just in the military. This is just an example. I actually don't even know of any solar symbology in the military, come to think of it, but I think I just made this slide just to give an example of how they speak to the brain subliminally. You know, you've got shell that looks like the sunset or sun rising. You know, there's plenty of sort of companies that use this. They even have Sun Win in England, which is like a death insurance policy or something like that. And Gulf Oil, is that oil or petrol, Gulf? Pretty sure it's one of those things.
Yep.
That looks like Saturn, actually, to be honest, now I think about it. But
it does.
Actually, they do use it in the military, and this is why I did it. Can you see the target? That looks like, you know, the sun in the middle and then planets going around. That's the RAF badge. Sorry, the RAF symbol, not the badge. The RAF symbol on. Here we go, Millie. Sorry, the cat's trying to find her little treats.
That's okay.
They use that. It looks like a giant target, and you know, that probably speaks to the masculine side of the brain, because it's solar symbology, isn't it? So it probably speaks to the masculine side of the brain, and you know, you get your sort of masculine self out and be like, yay, let's do this. Like, I can save the world.
It also represents control. It's a dot inside the circle, because the circle, there's no way out. So it could even represent the realm that we live in, could it be? But anyway,
interesting. I've not heard that before.
Oh yeah, right on target. Oh yeah. But yeah, that's the same symbol that they use for a medal in sharpshooting, the sharpshooter medal. You have expert is the top, and that's 2 crossed rifles, and the next is sharpshooter, and then underneath it is just if you qualify, I forget what it's called, but yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Or no,
have you got any more things you want to?
Marksman. It's the I'm sorry, it's the last one. It's just a box. It looks like a pizza box. It's a box, like a square with that target symbol inside it. That's the last one you get. The crossed rifles. No, I'm sorry, for the middle one you get the Star of the Cross of Malta. Anyway, there's so much crazy symbolism there, but that's a whole other. But anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, have you got any more things to add to the solar symbology, or do you want to go to another slide?
Let's go to another slide.
If you look at the RAF, I think it's slide 12 or 13. There we go. That's what I've just been talking about. You know, that's the symbol for the RAF. So I don't really need to say more. We already went through that, didn't we? But
what about the colors, though?
True, the red and blue, speaking to the left and the right brain, mummy and daddy.
And then
you
what
know.
else have I said now about symbolism that you might be able to pick up? Like the red inside the blue, like that? Like, what does that say, you think?
I don't know. What does it say?
Well, I'm thinking because it's the red is the masculine, but it's encapsulated by the blue. So it's like controlled by the blue. So it's even telling the men, like, listen, you're under our control. Like, you're going to submit to the,
Maybe this might be a
to
bit
mommy.
offensive. Yeah, I was going to say maybe people have got mummy issues who join and they, sign up thinking that that's going to solve their mummy issues.
They're safe inside the feminine. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
And that
maybe.
can
Hey,
help you
hey, look.
empathize. That can help you empathize with people as well because we all, to some degree, everybody in the society, most people, I think, go through some kind of trauma with their mother or father just because we're all fucking kids raising kids, basically. So,
Yeah, look, no offense to mum, love your mum because I know you're going to watch this, but I grew up with my dad, so you could say I had mama issues too and joined the RAF,
yeah,
which was
maybe that's
blue.
why. Yeah, see, there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that because you woke right up to it. So, that's awesome.
yeah. Just an example of the uniform, like the blue. So obviously yours was different, right? Because yours was the marine. What colour was yours?
So, they're all different colors to the Marine Corps uniform, but let's talk about uniforms. I'll bring up a picture while we talk.
Okay.
But now you see how they do this to you in school too, like in Catholic school. This is pretty obvious, I would imagine, what it's about. And it's about same thing with the hair cutting and the dog tags. They want everyone to look the same. They want everybody to kind of not have their identity, but their identity to be the military, to be like they want us.
Uniform.
They love when
One.
we called ourselves Marines and identified as Marines first. Like that's what they want because then you're part of that. And
Oh
again,
yeah.
it's not a nefarious. I mean, yeah, it could be nefarious, but it's because they need people to believe in their cause to do what they have to go do. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying before, it's in the word uniform. You become one form of people. But what's interesting about this, I've got a couple of things to say about this uniform. Well, first of all, like you said, you get the same haircut, and you're all clean shaven, even the women, and yeah, you all got to wear your hair the same and stuff like that. And but if you look at the beret on the top, it has the badge on. Did you take it off there, or was that?
yeah, go ahead, I'll put it back. Boom.
So if you look at the beret on the top there, and the badge is on the left side of the head, which is basically saying the military, the RAF, because that's the badge, controls and dominates the left side of your brain. In my opinion, that's what it says. And the right brain is sleeping. Because if you look at how the beret is on the right side of the brain, it's saggy, it's tilted, it's kind of
Dead.
wilting,
It looks
you
dead.
know. Yeah, it looks dead. And it's like,
Wow.
yeah, that's part of you's dead because you're with us now. And
That
so
is
that's what I want to say.
huge.
That's crazy, isn't it? And the other thing I wanted to say about that is, so with us, we had our military locker and we had a civvy locker. So, when you've been out for the weekend or whatever, you'd have your civvy street clothing in the right hand side locker, and you close that away and you'd shut it off and you would not open it until you went back into civvy street. Then you'd have in your left locker your military uniform, and that obviously, as you know, had to be like meticulously ironed and washed, blah blah blah. And I just found it quite interesting how they made you close off one side of yourself, literally close it off and lock it away. Um, and they'd inspect those lockers as well, but they wouldn't inspect the civilian one that much. They would just inspect your military locker and just ensure that everything was, perfectly hung up, perfectly ironed, and everything like that. I mean, it's pretty invasive, but you just got used to it, didn't you? Like it was just part of being in the military at that time that you just got used to that kind of thing. But yeah, I just found it interesting. They made you box certain parts of yourselves away and separate, and they'd even call it civvy street, and Yeah. Do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah,
Or?
that's amazing because it's really they're really splitting, right? So that's what happens in trauma a lot of times with people. They'll split off, part of themselves goes to like another place. You hear people say like they go to their happy space, and right. So,
Yeah.
but this is like a literal splitting, so it's a good way to make people start to think that whole way. It's like you're making their whole life that way. Like, all right, this is your life now, this is your life then. And so you shut that part of your life off and you just become a instrument of them, basically a part of them, a part of the collective.
That's so true. A Borg, a cyborg. But yeah, it is
Cyborg.
like you said, the trauma based element of it. Yeah, that's such a good point. I didn't think about that either.
All right, so let's bring up some
The
military uniforms
Marines.
now.
Do you call it the Marine Corps? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, the Marine Corps. Marine Corps, that's what they refer to it. Now, okay, this is a good picture. So you see on this one, this is the dress uniform. And then behind him, he's
Yes.
wearing the camouflage. Mine was a little different. The pockets were different and stuff like that. But so generally, you wear all this camouflage stuff all the time. And this
Okay.
makes you blend in. So it's just like a sea of green. And then you just see heads. And then everybody has like a hat, a cover, they call it. It's like a hat on there. Let me see if I can see. These are the white ones, but here we go. Okay. This is showcasing the different. Now, if you see on the top of his head, he has the octagon one. He has the 8-sided hat on the top of his head, which is another symbol of control because the 8 goes along with the hypercube, which is, if you look into that, it's just 2 cubes. I think we talked about before, but basically eating themselves. And it's just a symbol of control, just saying that you're inside them. I love how his name. Oh, I thought it was Crushman. It's Cushman. So that's another aspect of it. But basically, they just have everybody looking the same. And then this is the dress uniform that we wore. So you can see how nice and sharp it is, right? Wow, these look like kids.
Yeah. Is that actually what you wore, those trousers and stuff like that exact thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I actually have to say that looks pretty smart. I like it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why people join the Marine Corps now. And this is this is what a drill instructor looks like. That hat, they're only the sergeant trainers wear those hats.
That's
But that,
bizarre, isn't it?
yeah, the smoky they call them. Let's see. Here's one.
That's a strange shape.
Now, the rest of the uniform is what we would wear too. This is the Bravos. The other ones are the dress blues. That's like the Alpha. You only wear those for like a wedding or like a really special occasion. Now, this is normally if we travel places and stuff like that, this is what we would have to wear. And then everywhere else on base, you're in your little camouflage uniforms.
So you had 3 different types, yeah?
Yeah. And then
That's
I had,
interesting. Yeah, we had 2. I think we only had 2, but
and then if you see here, this guy on the left right here, he has that whole green thing on. That's like a jumpsuit. We wore stuff similar to that when we were working on airplanes. So on the flight line and on base, we could wear that. But off base, you had to wear these other uniforms. So.
Okay. Yeah, we had the camouflage too, and but the camouflage was like when you're doing drill practice and things, and then after a month you graduate to the blues. Like you can't wear the blue uniform straight away. That's saved when you're worthy of it, when you're good enough. And yeah, that's your graduation uniform, and that's what you wear quite a lot once you've graduated is your blues. But I never made it to wearing the blues because I never got that far. I never graduated.
Good for you.
I think that now, but at the time I was really upset about it.
Yeah, me
So
too.
this is just obviously what we were explaining before with the laurel leaves. As I was saying, it is in the badge, and you've got the crown, like you said there. Saving Queen and Country. Literally, the crown is on top of everything you're doing. What was it you said about the crown earlier? Like the physical realm?
Yeah, well, before I was saying that because it was crowning that five-pointed star that was pointed down.
Yeah,
So
true, true.
here, you're right, though. It's the same thing. It's showing you that the crown is the most important thing at the top. Oops.
Oopsie. I just
Oopsie.
dropped something.
That's okay.
Sorry, I dropped the light. Which
Blame it on the cat. It's
with
fine.
the well, I
But
nearly did actually.
I wanted to
I
notice.
am kind of
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I am going to kind of blame her because she is irritatingly being everywhere. Like she won't leave me alone, so I am going to blame her a little bit. To be honest, Millie, it's all your fault. Do you hear that, Millie? That's right, it's your fault. So I love her really. With the now, what did I unpick the Latin on this? Let me just find the file when I unpicked it. But basically, you know, this the is it an eagle? I couldn't work out whether that's an eagle or a an albatross actually on there or something. That means something because it's a bird. But do you want to just have a chat while I try and find this file?
Yeah, no problem. Well, I did want to. That I definitely think that probably is a deer eagle or albatross, and those eagles have a lot of representation, especially because it's the Air Force. So I mean, it's just it's trying to show you the dominance in the air and stuff like that. But the crown, I wanted to go back to really quick because the top you see the orb, and then on top of the orb there's a cross. So it's putting, and on both of these symbols you have the cross on top of the crown, and it's the top thing. So I want to talk about maybe a little bit what crosses represent. And
yeah, that would be great because there are crosses a lot in police and military uniform and badges.
yeah, exactly. And so really the Christians take the cross a lot and use it to represent Christ, but it's just really a symbol of the sun. And on top of that orb itself, it's like more sun symbolism on top of sun symbolism. So, but really I think what it has to do with is the kind of, it's exactly what Jesus represents in the Christ consciousness. And it's about how you could become, like I was talking about earlier, like the Superman, So we have these ideas, we have these, what Freud or Jung would call archetypes inside us. I think Jung was the one who talked about it first. And there are these patterns of behavior of people, like a hero archetype. And a lot of them, these are used for movies. You see different patterns play out. And this kind of calls to our deepest archetype to be like the best version of ourselves, I really believe. And that's kind of like why it's on top. And then it's on top of the crown because the crown is symbolizing the control of that would be internally. Just like we talked about, Mark Passio talks about internal monarchy and external anarchy. So like no one above the law outside, but internally you have the control and you're ruling yourself. So they're taking that concept and people are using it externally. Through the symbolism, though, people line up with it because they don't realize, and that's because they're symbol literate. And that's why I keep telling people it's important to get to know your symbolism, because if you know that, then it has less, I guess you'd say, control over you because you see what's going on. You could just kind of laugh at it or whatever. So, did you find it? I talked for a whole bunch there.
No, that's good. I think I found it, and if I didn't, we'll just have to carry on, and I'll have to forego that part. But I basically just researched what the Latin meant, and it doesn't mean anything sinister or anything like bizarre. It just
it doesn't mean we eat babies.
It doesn't mean we siphon adrenochrome. No, unfortunately. Sorry, it's just loading. It's taken a bit of a while, but it's where I unpicked the Latin for the Astra. It just means star or stellar. So it's not important if we don't find it. Let's see. Taking its sweet time to load. We can talk about another slide if you want in the meantime.
Taking about its sweet time. Did you break down the entire Latin, what it means?
Yeah, I think I did. I think per means four. Here we go. I found it. So I did actually write that you said about the cross, and I did put in as a question mark, is that space galactic symbology? But you explained that.
Yeah, it is that as well too. It's all those things.
Yeah.
Internally,
So
I
the
feel
laurel
like that's what it
leaves.
means. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So the laurel leaves is the laurel leaves of victory. Like that's what they're actually called. It was an eagle, and I just put that down as like a bird of prey. You know, it's like a predator.
Yeah.
And there's actually an illuminated torch at the bottom, if you can see that there.
Oh, that's what that is. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an illuminated torch to me, and you know that could possibly mean the illuminated ones, but I don't know for sure. I'm just giving what my kind of theory is on that. Now I can't find the Latin. Yeah, no, I didn't save that. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, I didn't save that one. I only saved the Astra. So that was a waste of time, wasn't it? Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna see if I can look it up. RAF slogan. Latin translation, because I just want to see.
I wondered if it means like, you know, what Toy Story, like reach for the stars.
Yeah, right. Frangus non electus, thou mayest break, but thou shalt not bend me. That's their motto. Wow. Oh, I put slogan. What is it? Symbol? What is it called? Yeah, I guess symbol, right?
Which symbol? Sorry,
well, I was just, what would it be called? It would be called a symbol, I guess. Oh, and I totally, well, whatever. I totally misspelled it. Let's see. There we go. That's better. Okay. Royal Air Force, through adversity to the stars.
Okay. So it did mean for the pair then. Oh, through.
Yeah.
Through this. Okay, all right.
Through adversity to the stars. So it's just like through infinity to infinity and beyond. It's the same thing.
It's like I said with the Toy Story. That's why I got Buzz in my head.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And it's
like
just
I said,
like trauma through adversity, which is trauma, to the stars.
Yeah.
And what do we talk about what stars represent, right? So if you want to get to what we got, you got to go through the trauma.
Yes, absolutely. Reach the stars. That's what you really want to do, isn't it? So just traumatize yourself a little bit and you can do it.
Yeah. And then I think this is the last slide that we have, which is good. This might even be a good place to wrap up because it's kind of funny. It's like, well, if you don't want to listen to what we say, what do you think about what they think about you? So why don't you talk about this slide, Kayleigh?
Well, it's just, you know, how evident can you get that you're a dog, you're a pawn for the elites or the rulers that be or whatever. This guy is literally telling you military men are just dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns in foreign policies. Literally telling you you're a dog. You are a sheepdog, and we use you. And if that doesn't make you feel like a bit nasty about yourself, if you're in the military, I don't know what will. Anything you want to say about it?
Yeah, especially somebody like Henry Kissinger, because that's a name that everybody can recognize. He's wrapped up in the Vietnam War and all that stuff. So if you think about that, now they're still taking his advice. Military men, and you know, how dare you, military men and women, you bastard, how dare you. Military men and women are just dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns in foreign policy. Yeah, that's sums it up right there.
I think we do have one more slide above this one with the police hat on there.
There we go. Oh yeah, awesome. Okay. I wanted to bring this up earlier, so I'm glad you had a slide about it, because the checkered floor is something, the floorboard is something that is huge. You see it everywhere, and it's very kind of, I think, misleading. on what it is. Why don't you give your take a little bit, and then I'll add.
Well, I was just saying, like, with this, if people want evidence that, occultism and Freemasonry is used as a symbol in police and military, that's one right there. And that one is tapering around the head. It's going around the crown chakra. The chakra, sorry, that's basically saying you're crowned by that. And what the checkered floorboard is it's kind of like the good and bad, black and white sort of. There's no in between. There's no grey area. So if you're serving in the police force, you're constantly wandering in between the good and the bad. There's no grey area. There's no middle ground. You can't find your place. You don't know what's right and wrong. You're just following your orders. And, you're not your own being who can see the grey area. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that properly?
No, that's great. And then to add to that further, if you think about a chessboard, it's checkered just like this, right? So you're a literal pawn on a chessboard playing someone else's game. Like they're controlling all your moves and you're in this literally controlled game or whatever. But the other thing about the checkered board is the black and the white is it symbolizes knowing and not knowing. It's like the ignorance and the knowing, or the lack of knowledge and the knowledge, the dark and the light. So you're moving on these boards like you don't know. So it's symbolizing really being kind of lost, and that's what the floor is about. And but there's a saying in the Tao, because in a lot of this symbolism and occult things, you'll see ladders coming off the checkered floorboard, and that talks about ascending. But there's this saying in the Tao, like you ascend to different knowledge, but there's a saying in the Tao that says whether you move up and down the ladder, your position is still shaky, which is great. Because if you think of the fool's journey, the journey of the fool is you're a fool at first, you leave home, you go out to the world, then you come back as a different person, as a man or woman with different perspective. And now, even though you're home, you don't recognize the place because it's a whole different place to you. So you can fit in and you could work with those people because you see how the whole world works. So it's that same thing. But in this, they don't get that. You're just stuck at level 1. You're Super Mario Brothers level 1. That's it. So
I like that you've used Super Mario Brothers there. But the thing though, I will add, is that the one thing that does confuse me is that ambulances do have that checkered pattern on, don't they? That's the one thing I could never wrap my head around. However, it's not black or white. It's normally like, a yellow and green color or something, But that's just one thing that. Sorry?
They don't have that here.
Do they not? Interesting. Yeah, they do. Hey, yeah. So I was like, why has that got that down on? But the explanation that I could come up with is the medical field is essentially the same thing. Sometimes you are doing a disservice rather than doing a service to people, because while you think that you're saving lives and doing the best for everybody, maybe you're not. Maybe the medical treatment you give them at the time probably isn't the best thing, or do you get me? Or maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe resuscitation, you think that you're helping them and doing a good thing, but maybe they don't want that, or maybe, that isn't the plan for them, or something like that. Like, that's the only theory that I could come up with at the time for the ambulance.
Yeah, definitely. It's
and again, look, that's obviously a sensitive. Yeah, and that's obviously a sensitive topic with resource. People might say, "How can you say that not to resource somebody?" Or
how dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Though, like, I could understand if someone did think that, but maybe I've heard of people who've said they didn't want to be resuscitated. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you've got
everyone's choice.
If you've got anything to add to that, you could obviously write it in the comments if you're watching it and you've got a theory or a question to that, because I don't have that answer. And I don't have all the answers. I don't proclaim to, but I just, like to give my theories and share what I've learned from other teachers and things. So, yeah.
All right, yeah. I think that's a good place to end this lovely episode. I'm trying, well, unless you have any like, let's talk about like kind of final comments. I didn't mean like end it totally. I meant like start to wrap up. My cat's distracting me because she's being so cute, but I think she's gonna throw up grass. I tell her not to eat grass, but she just doesn't listen. She goes outside. Anyway, you know, I think what we could say is that, if you're watching this and you thinking about joining the military or whatever, just know what you're getting into and just do your own research about it. And the symbols are all there. So it's like I knew what I was getting into, kind of. I didn't know exactly what the world was about, but it was still a conscious decision I made. And so did Kayleigh, but she was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And she did. So it's great. I think that's a real important lesson is like, I got out after my 4 years. That was enough for me. It's like, even if you're still in, do you want to get out? Because at that point, you're kind of like a slave. If you want to do it and you enjoy it, that's different. But if you're there and you don't want to be there, that's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, or if you're doing it because you think you need a career or it'll make your parents proud or you're a nobody, so you need to do something. They're not good reasons to join either. Because people think that the military is like a cure for the lack of career or direction in life. That they'll find that in the military.
Yeah, I feel like people just get more. You could just get more lost and stuck in there for sure. That can happen. So you're right. Hey, everybody, welcome to a little addendum we're going to add to this show that we recorded. I forgot to include one slide that Kayleigh sent me, and it's a really good one, so we wanted to bring it back up on the screen and talk about it. So let's do that right now. Here we go. Okay, cool. All right, Kayleigh. So what's going on with this?
So I actually can say firsthand that this is real. And you can click on the link like this, provided you can go and check out, but it's not going to literally tell you that they're devil worshipping. Anyway, when I was in the RAF training, they said when you do your pass out parade, which you're familiar with, I'm sure, Brandon, at the very end of your training, you're going to be led on to the not the airfield, I don't know, the
parade
square
deck.
that you
That's actually what's going on right behind me here. I'll show people so they could see. Again, here we go. In my video. Yeah, let's see. That's what's going on right here. It's a graduation. All the recruits are lined up, and then in the center right here are the drill instructors with the smoky hats. The hats like Smokey the Bear, and then in the background you see the recruits with the that are about to graduate. They have the different round hats. So yeah, that's the same thing. We just didn't have a goat though.
Well, it only seems to be in the RAF in that particular training ground, which is where I was, RAF Holton, down in Buckinghamshire, which is like near London. And yeah, they just said you're going to be getting led on by the goat. I don't know if he was called Billy the Goat. Does it say Billy the Goat up on there? What's his name? Oh, George the Goat.
George, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're going to get led on by George the Goat. And I thought, well, isn't that literally being led by the devil? I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Lovely. I feel really comfortable with that because maybe it's like, to me, I interpret it as some sort of pan or devil symbology, but I guess it's open to interpretation, really. I just thought that it was pretty interesting. And at the time, I was just thinking, strange. Why not a sheep? Why not a cow? Why not a dog?
Mm-hmm.
No, why not fucking George the dog or Callie the cow? Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, and it's interesting esoterically too, because goats represent the earth, or they represent, like you think pentacles in tarot. it and anything
Mm.
symbolically, when you see a goat, when the reason people will associate it with the devil or devil worship is because it has to do with the physical realm in the earthly realm, not the spiritual realm. So the fact that they're leading you out there with a goat and it's the Air Force who flies in the air, it's kind of like to me it's like a balance, right? They want you to be grounded and walk out there, and then you graduate and then you fly away. It's like this really crazy. I mean, I don't know what's going on in their head, but and it's weird. It's funny because this thing I heard recently talks about the five elements, and it puts them in order where earth, because you start in the earth, think of a seed, starts in the earth, then the water comes down and waters it, and then as it grows, it comes up into the air, right? So that's the third element, and then it spreads out and it gets touched by the sun, which is fire, and then it grows a new life, which becomes the mind or spirit, and then becomes another seed, which does the cycle over again. So you're seeing two parts of that cycle right there. You're seeing the earth and the air. So maybe there's
Mm.
something with that, the earthly and the air qualities that they're trying to get, but there's no water because they don't want your emotions. They want you to act with air, with thought, and do what you have to do. And then also earthly, that's like your family, you're grounded, stuff like that. So they want those two things merged, but they don't want any water in their fire. Or maybe the fire comes
Right.
later. The fire comes later.
Okay.
Yeah. When you rain it down on people. Oh.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't even think of it that way.
and I just want to also say a quick shout out because as we record this, the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan, and that war looks like it's over after almost 20 years of that. So I'm really excited. Just want to give a shout out because I've been anti-war for so long and been railing against it, writing, doing podcasts and everything against it. And I know Kayleigh feels the same way. So, I just want to give a shout out to the people of Afghanistan. You know, fucking did it. You got rid of them. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying like
You got
the,
rid of it.
yeah, I don't know what's going to be, whatever, the Taliban. I'm not a fan. It's not like I'm a fan of them or anything. I'm just saying that at least bombs aren't being dropped on their heads now. So that's the fucking
Mm.
start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone had forgotten about that after COVID came in. Like, oh, swine flu, COVID, forget about Afghanistan, forget about it, forget that we're still there, let's just distract everybody, and forget that we're spending millions and millions of dollars on weapons when we've got pandemics going on. No one, we don't want you to think about that.
Wait, we're dropping bombs to kill people when there's a quote unquote pandemic and we're wearing masks. And it's funny because, uh, I got this. I gotta give a shot. I got this from Owen Benjamin because I was listening to him and he was saying how he's like the people of Afghanistan got rid of a regime that was making them cover their face. Was taking place with like was down with pedophilia and like all this other crazy stuff. And he goes, and they got rid of him. And those people, he goes, the American government guys. He's like, them, not the Taliban. He's like, the American government was doing those things. Like they outlawed pedophilia and porn and all that shit, I guess. But whatever, it's still another crazy. Anyway, so I just want to give that shout out, and it's a new age, I guess. And people are starting to wake up and they just don't put up with it anymore. They're just like, why are we even in Afghanistan? And I think that's kind of what happened. People just asked enough questions and they probably couldn't get any people to go there anymore. Like
Is that what it was? Yeah, because I wasn't too sure of the details of
I
that.
I don't know. Well, I think at the end of the day, it's stuff like that builds up, and that's what really happens, because it's not like the military just decided let's just pull out of here. You know what I mean? Like there's
Well, that's
outside
what they're making out
forces.
on the news. That's the headlines that they're making out on the news. It was the government and military's decision. They don't specifically say that, but
Yeah.
that
So
they.
what I'm saying is they'll always say it's the military's decision, and it is. The military does make the decision, but what I mean is they don't just out of the blue go, "Oh, let's just get out of
Hmm.
Afghanistan." It's because there's so much resistance from the light in
Oh,
Kayleigh's
yeah.
room. No, I'm just kidding. There's so much resistance from the
Always
people.
does it.
That's right. When there's a lot of resistance from the people or whatever, and then oops, I just muted you. What did I do? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. When there's a lot of resistance from the people of Afghanistan and from the people here, when there's enough, when it gets to a
Mm.
certain point, they have to say, "Oh, we got to pull out now." It's not like we're running out of resources. The government and the United States government military could stay there indefinitely if they really wanted to. They could, force people, and I'm sure they could muster enough people to go there. But what I mean is, it's just not feasible anymore. It's just, after a certain point, it just gets to the point where it's like a breakup. It's like, this shit just ain't working. And that really comes about by people like us bitching about it and saying it and bringing awareness, and other people talking about it. And then, people there just not dealing with it, not putting up with it, just saying no, having enough, not playing along. So that's what I want to say. And that's what everybody can do their part. If you feel like whatever about the system you don't like, just don't play along. Then just withdraw your consent, walk away, take your football and go home. They can't do anything to you.
I know.
Yeah.
It's that simple with a lot of things that are going on. Just don't partake in it. Just don't give it energy. Just don't, think that you're trapped in it and there's no way out. Yeah. Anyway, that was a lovely thing to bring up, I think, Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
With the topic, yeah.
Very synchronistic. Is there anything else you would like to talk about, Kayleigh?
Maybe that's why we had to re-record and not re-record. We didn't even record to begin with. Maybe that's why. So that you could say that, because it's perfect timing.
Yeah, so just so people know, we recorded the first part of this episode a couple weeks ago, and then we left out a slide, and we've both been really super busy, so we finally just got together, and now synchronistically, all this stuff just happened like within the past week, I guess. I don't pay attention to the news now or any even alternative news, so I don't know exactly when it happened, but I do know that it happened, so I just wanted to give that shout out on my channel officially, and I think I'll probably do a podcast about it, because it's there's a lot that I could say about it and talk about, so I'll probably do like a solo episode too. But
that'll be good, and I'll be tuning in. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, Kayleigh, thanks again for coming on my show. We got to do this again real soon. It's been a lot of fun, and I have more free time coming up, so it should be easy. Maybe we'll do like a tarot reading or something. Maybe we'll get a little crazy. But all right, everybody, if you want more from me, go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. You can find everything I do there. I also wrote a book. Probably talked about it in the beginning of this. Shadowworked.com is where you can get that book. SHAWOD. Wait, no, SHADOW. WORKED. I'm smart.com. And you can get my book. And yeah. So anything you'd like to say before we go, Kay? Kayleigh? All right. Well, see you everybody later. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Bye.
Oh,